Hey everyone, I'm Ian Douglas, the author of the website techinterview.guide. I do live streams every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern about topics relevant to interview preparation for the tech industry. I occasionally record longer Q&A sessions, and I've started to break those into smaller videos to post. And there'll be information at the end of this video about how to get in contact with me if you have additional questions. Let's get to it. What are the questions that can be asked when the interviewer says, any questions? So to kind of rephrase this, usually at some point in the interview, they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? It's generally pretty important to have some kind of question prepared and ready to ask them. One of the worst things you can do is say, nope, I have no questions. You should have some kind of questions. You should have probably 2 or 3 questions prepared and ready to go. I generally advise people don't have 10 or 15 questions and expect them all to get answered. Because by the time they get to the point where it's do you have any questions for me? There's probably only a couple of minutes left. They may only have time to answer 1 or 2. And so I would say the first question to ask would be, I have a lot of questions. Do you want me to email you some of them? We can get through maybe a few of them now, but I've got some questions that I would really like to know the answers to, but I want to be respectful of your time. So if we don't get through all of them, could I email them to you, or could we have a follow-up conversation another time? Always ask them those kinds of questions. I think that would be an important show of respect for them and their time, so that you're not yes, question 1 of 50. If you have a moment, it's oh gosh, 50 questions. That's going to take a while to go through. It also depends on the nature of the questions. I think the questions that you should ask will vary depending on who is interviewing you. So if it's somebody in an HR position, they're going to have very different kinds of questions for you as a technical interviewer would have. And likewise, you should have different questions for them. So for an HR person, you could have questions about kind of the company culture as a whole. And then maybe when you're interviewing with the engineering team, you could ask about does the engineering team have a culture of its own? I think that would be a kind of a good differentiation there. And I mean, there are going to be tons and tons of guides online of what questions to ask companies. And, whether you should say how did I do? Do you have any feedback for me? And kind of ending the interview with that kind of question. That one can be a little dangerous because sometimes they won't want to answer because they're still writing up notes and they still have to go through a scoring rubric and things like that. So you probably won't get a good answer to that right away. They'll probably just kind of shrug it off and say, we've got factors to look into, but we will get back to you or something like that. And hopefully they do. But when they ask you, do you have any questions for us? You should always have questions prepared to ask them. Absolutely. Hey, thanks for watching. I love helping people out with interview prep, and I hope this video helped you in some way. If you found this Q&A useful, please consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitch as well for the live stream twice a week. Check out techinterview.guide/streaming for more information. I also have a daily email series that you can subscribe to on the website. There are never any ads, and when you finish the series, I scrub your information out of my database permanently. Finally, if you have a question that you'd like answered on the stream, you can find my contact info on techinterview.guide. I prefer LinkedIn or email. If you leave your question in a YouTube comment, it might take me longer to find it, but I'll see you next time.